Hey besties, Monica Ferguson here and welcome to World Domination. This is a safe space for absolute legends who are bold enough and brave enough to go within, to recreate their belief system, to aim high, to chase their wildest dreams and become everything that they are destined to be. This is a space for people who are serious about growth, about healing. We talk about all things mind, body, spirit, and we have the courage to go further than most people even dare to dream. Welcome, let's get into it. Hello, beautiful people. Monica Ferguson here. Welcome to this week's episode of World Domination. Let's get into this topic. Something that every single human being on this planet, myself included, deals with, and this is the number one reason why we don't get the things that we want. Right? Are you ready for it? Have you figured this out yet? It's fear. And so, in this episode, I invite you to really reflect on how much of a chokehold fear has on you. Like, if you're being really honest with yourself right now, from 1 to 10, what number? What number would you pick when it comes to the amount of fear that you have that's running your life? What number would you give that on a scale from 0 to 10? Go. Okay. I hope you're honest with yourself, because the thing is that when we have the conscious awareness of what's going on at an unconscious level, that's when we have the power to change things, right? That's when everything gets to change. And so I encourage you again that as we navigate through this episode, to simply observe. You're just looking, observing, being objective, right? This is not about shame. This is not about beating yourself up or thinking, oh my gosh, I should be further along, or I can't believe I did that, or I can't believe I let fear hold me back for so long. None of those things are useful, right? And this is why we speak so much about the subconscious mind and its function. Okay, so let us quickly recap, because this is the thing that literally changed my entire life. When I started to understand this, this is where I was able to start really forgiving myself for past stuff, stop beating myself up, stop punishing myself, and then choose where I wanted to go with intention, right? Because I wasn't dragging the past into every freaking moment. Okay, so the subconscious mind makes up 95% of our mind, right? Now, its job is to keep us safe, to keep us alive. Now, it is subconscious, unconscious, outside of our conscious awareness, which means that we don't know what's going on, right? Now, before you freak out, we still have so much control and so much power. But what we want to start doing is reflecting on our life, reflecting on patterns of behavior, and simply observing the circumstances that are in our life right now, because that's actually showing us what's going on within us. And our ability to look at this and simply observe without shaming ourselves, without judging ourselves, this is where everything gets to change, okay? Because your subconscious mind is there to keep you safe. It does not like you leaving your comfort zone. It is not happy about that. So it's going to do everything in its power, right, to hold you where you are now. So like literally, as you go to change, as you go to grow and evolve, your mind says, nope. Aren't you so glad that you stopped in for this inspirational message? But no, this is really important to understand, right? Because so often what we do is we create these shame stories and we create these feelings of like, oh my God, I'm not good enough. I obviously am not talented enough. That's why that didn't work. I always end up in this relationship cycle. It must mean that I'm unworthy, that I'm unlovable. Everyone leaves me. See, that's evidence that I'm not good enough. When actually there's something happening at an unconscious level, that you keep attracting the same situation over and over again. There's something within you. And it's not anything to do with your worth or value. There's a part of you at an unconscious, subconscious level that does not feel safe to have the thing that you say you want. So it's neutral, right? This has nothing to do with your value or your worth. It's simply, there's a part of you that doesn't feel safe. So what if we approach that then with compassion? Because if there is a part of you that doesn't feel safe to have something, that means that there's a part of you that feels wounded, that feels hurt. There's a part of you that experienced something that was so painful that your mind, in its attempt to try to spare you from ever feeling pain like that again, decided, you know what? We're not going to do this again. I'm going to make sure this never happens again. I'm going to make sure that we're never in a situation to experience this pain again. Now, doesn't that feel better? Instead of, my business isn't growing because I'm not good enough, what if there's a part of you in an unconscious level that is holding on to some belief, some story, that it's not safe to be seen, that it's not safe to be successful, that something terrible is going to happen if you speak up. Now, this actually happened to me, right? So let's put this in a practical sense, okay? Because like I said, I battled for years with like terrible mental health, depression, anxiety, panic attacks. I hated myself. My self-worth was like in the gutter, and I did not feel good enough. I looked at the results that I had in my life and I constantly used that as evidence of why I was not good enough. Obviously, no one likes me. Obviously, I'm not smart enough. I'm not pretty enough. I'm not skinny enough. I'm not talented enough. I'm not good enough. That is why nothing works out for me, right? What a belief system to have, right? But let's be honest. If we have not learned how to actually reprogram our subconscious mind, this is how most of us are operating, because we're not aware of the power that we have and that our subconscious mind is literally attracting to us, right? Thoughts have a frequency. They can be measured. When you think thoughts repeatedly, so I'm thinking your dominant thought patterns, right? You don't need to fear every thought, but your dominantly held beliefs, they just get emitted out and they attract and they call back to them everything that's in alignment with that, right? So if we're thinking, like I was, thoughts of I'm not good enough, I can't do it, my business sucks, guess what I was attracting back? More evidence. And then I'd use that evidence to validate my belief and so on and so forth. And until I broke out of that cycle, I continued to attract crap, I continued to think crap and feel crap. It's a lot of crap, right? We're not here for that. Okay, so some of the big breakthroughs, business especially, was when I started to look at what do I really believe? And I started to ask myself this question. This question is a life-changing question. Okay, what part of me doesn't feel safe to have a successful business, right? Now, immediately, my mind took me back to a moment when I was about 9 or 10 and I witnessed some really horrible violence, and I learned that it was not safe to say things that upset people. It was not safe to speak. It was not safe to be heard, right? So you can imagine, as I start a business, a podcast, a coaching practice, as I start literally speaking for a living, my conscious mind was like, yes, this is what we're called for. Let's go. This is so amazing. I can take all these cool things and help people. My subconscious mind said, yeah, nah, it is not safe, because what happens when you say something that triggers someone? They're going to be violent. You're not safe. So what we're going to do is sabotage your efforts. We're going to hold on to these beliefs that make you feel like crap, that make you feel good enough. Not good enough, right? So what happens to my productivity? What happens to, my consistency if I'm feeling like that? If I have this tug of war within myself where I have these moments of feeling like so inspired and so excited and really remembering who I am, but then I have this pushback in my own mind being like, yeah, but you're not good enough. Why would people listen to you, right? Because your mind knows how to hit you. Because remember, your subconscious is there to keep you safe. It doesn't want you moving. So it knows how to hit you. It knows how to pull you back to where it feels safe and comfortable. Okay? So this is really important to understand, that in these moments where we're really feeling like squeezed and we're really uncomfortable and we're being pulled back and all this fear comes up, what's actually happening is that you are so close to breaking through to the next level version of you that your mind is freaking out that it's losing control and it doesn't want you leaving the space where it feels safe, even if where you are is not actually safe. It feels safer to the mind, right? Because it's familiar. that your mind is going to try and pull you back. And often what you'll find is right before a breakthrough, a lot of past stuff will come up. Your mind, you'll start dreaming about past people, past circumstances. You'll start thinking about it a lot because your mind, right, is trying to, like, part of you is trying to move forward at a conscious level, and your subconscious is like, no, stay here where it's safe. Yeah. So that moment for me where I learned that it was not safe to speak up and ultimately trigger people and upset people, I had to literally rewire my entire nervous system, my subconscious mind, in order to feel safe so that I could do things like sit here and record podcasts and not have a panic attack, right? To teach my subconscious mind, my nervous system that, hey, I'm not 10 anymore. It is safe, and not just safe. This is the best possible thing for me. Look at how much joy I get. Look at how much impact. Look at how much abundance I get by connecting with people and helping people and living in my dream, right? But this takes time because we're literally creating new neural pathways. So we have to think new thoughts enough times that they really take root and take hold, right? So one of the things, or some of the tools that I've used to reprogram my own thoughts, and also what I do with clients, hypnotherapy is extremely powerful because it operates at the subconscious level, right? So we're not here to recite affirmations to ourselves 1,000,000 times a day that we don't believe. We're not here to push against the resistance. What we want to do is observe, like, oh shit, I feel so uncomfortable, I'm freaking out, I'm scared, I don't feel safe. We go to the root, like, where did that come from? Like, what part of me doesn't feel safe? We go to the root, we release that, and then guess what? The fear is gone. This is not a process that takes 10 years in therapy. This is literally going into the subconscious, going to the root, creating a sense of calm, releasing that fear, and then guess what? We can move forward. Now, another really, really powerful tool that I use is EFT, which is emotional freedom technique, and it's tapping, and what it does is you recite affirmations, and you recite or you're able to express how you truly feel whilst tapping on the meridian points, like on your hand, on your head, on your face. There's heaps of stuff for free on YouTube, right? You can literally type in tapping and see what comes up. And tapping for anxiety, tapping for fear of the unknown, tapping for allowing love, tapping for allowing money, tapping for fear of success, which is another common one, right? All these things help to regulate the nervous system. Because of course, as we move into the unknown, the mind does what it's designed to do, and it tries to make us safe again. So in those moments where, fear, panic, oh my God, am I good enough? Where those things come up, we have two choices, right? We either believe those fears and we go back to who we were and we stay there for the rest of our life, or we recognize, okay, cool, so I'm busting out of the comfort zone. This is amazing. Like, I'm so close to my next level. So I'm going to calm myself and teach my system that I'm safe here. And this is why hypnotherapy, tapping, even just reframing things in our own mind, looking at things from a different perspective, changing the story and the belief that we're telling ourselves, that will change everything. And so then we feel calm again. So we're able to hold ourselves in this new place, right? But of course, we are not taught how to do this. No one's teaching us how to do this. And I think it looks as well, like when you look in at other people's lives, you really have no idea what they've gone through, especially, successful people or people that you look up to. We're really not very good at sharing the truth, right? And this is why I love this podcast and this radio show, because it enables us to actually share the real life stuff that anyone who's serious about wanting to change or grow, anyone that's really wanting something big to shift in their life, we're all going through it. We have to. There's no way of avoiding the work, because the reason that we don't have the things that we want yet is because we're not yet the version of us that is a match to those things. Like if we say we want, now I'll give another example of my life, relationship, right? this was a huge one for me, and this took me a hot minute to learn some of these lessons. I repeated the same toxic, dysfunctional cycles that deeply hurt me over and over and over and over again my entire life until last year was when I really started to bust out of this, right? Now, here was the process. Because I had a lot of childhood trauma, I had witnessed a lot of abuse, I had learned that I was not safe, I had learned that men were not safe, I had seen only wounded, toxic men. I'd never felt safe or protected, right? So when I was 10 and I observed that violence, and I remember this moment very well, I decided, right, it's not safe. So I need to protect myself. And so at an unconscious level, I had a belief that I was not safe and I need to protect myself from men, okay? And that if I don't do that, something terrible is going to happen. Like I'm going to die. Like that's a real probability here, right? So you can imagine the chaos that this created in my life. So the conscious part of me, the 5% of my mind said, I really want a relationship. That'd be so great. Now, here's another belief that I had going at the time. I'm not worthy. I am not good enough. I'm obviously not worthy and deserving of love because all these things wouldn't have happened to me if I was. So you can imagine those two beliefs, and that wasn't even all of the beliefs, but just those two alone operating in my life. So consciously I would meet someone, right? But what kind of person are you going to meet if you think you're not worthy? What kind of person are you going to attract? Someone that's pretty average, let's be honest. Someone that's going to treat you like you're not worthy. Someone that's going to treat you like crap. So I attracted a lot of wounded men, and my mind was programmed for wounded men because that's what I'd observed, right? So I would meet wounded men. It would be super stressful. I would go into fight or flight. I'd also be super codependent because I had all these fears of abandonment and rejection. So I would cling on, and then it would be so crap and so stressful, and I'd be treated so badly that eventually I would let go and I would walk away. All right? Then I would feel good again, and I would focus my attention on me. I'd work on my goals. Then I'd feel good again, and then I'd say, man, it would be nice to have a relationship. But I hadn't actually changed any of the beliefs, right? Because I thought, hey, it's all them. I just need to find the right guy. Not understanding that everything's a magnet. I had to become the right girl, right? To attract the person that I wanted. So the cycle repeated so many times. And it hurt me because every single time I'd feel rejected, abandoned, unworthy, not good enough. And then sometimes they'd be really toxic, like narcissistic types that would... Anyone who's been involved with a narcissist knows, right? These things are not good, and they really hijack your brain and your dopamine because you're walking around on eggshells all the time. So it's very stressful, very, very stressful. Your confidence just plummets, which makes it really hard to get out, right? So this narcissist that I was involved with was actually the catalyst for my healing, because I had, one of these aha moments where I was in this moment and it was like I almost floated out of my body and saw it for what it was. And I was just like, you know what? This is not going to be my life. And this was like 4 years ago now. I was like, this will not be my life. And I literally packed up my bag and I walked out of the hotel room. And by the time I got downstairs to my car, I'd already had a bunch of abusive text messages and horrible stuff. And that was it. I cut him off. I blocked him on everything. I almost had to get lawyers involved. Because the narcissists don't just let you go, right? Because they require supply. They're trying to drain your energy. So this experience, though, I was just like, this is not going to be my life. And so I committed to myself. I decided I'm going to learn the tools and the skills and the things to heal myself and break out of this pattern and this cycle that's been in my family. This ends with me now. And that's what I did for 3 years. I fully focused on myself. I dated a few people, but nothing real. I was committed to myself, and I went to hell and back in that process because every part of me that felt unworthy, not good enough, fear of abandonment, fear of being alone, fear of not being good enough, every painful part of me had to be acknowledged and witnessed and healed and released. And that shit is not for the weak. Like, it's way easier to be an alcoholic, let's be real. It's way easier to just have several drinks every night and blame everyone else for our problems. Like, the problem was I knew too much at this point. I was like, I know that it's coming from me. So if I want a different outcome, I need to be different. And so that's what happened, right? Now, fast forward to last year. And I had clear goals around, of course, because I have clear goals for everything. I had a clear goal around the relationship that I wanted to create. I wanted someone who was conscious, someone I could grow with. I wanted my best friend and all these things, right? Someone that I felt really safe and protected with. Something really healthy. And I met him and it was just instant connection. This beautiful man just walked into my life and triggered the shit out of me. Now, friends, I'm going to give this to you straight, right? You know how we think that, like, oh, we're going to meet that person, we're going to get that money, we're going to have that breakthrough in our business, and then everything's going to be great. Absolutely false. False advertising. That is not what happened. What happened was I met the beautiful man. I saw the beautiful man. I went into fight or flight mode. Because my mind was still like, well, it's not safe. Now, as much healing as I had done on my own, there's also a lot of reprogramming that needed to happen in the context of a relationship, right? Because I was holding myself in this situation where my mind was like, get out, get out, get out, get out. But I knew what was going on and I was like, I will not sabotage this. I will not run from this. But every part of me that felt afraid, every part of me that witnessed abuse, every fear in me, every experience that I'd had where I'd been left like totally distraught and hurt came up, right? Because of course our mind is trying to keep us in the comfort zone. My mind felt safer with me being single because I wasn't going to get hurt when I was being single, right? My mind wasn't thinking, oh yay, you've worked so hard, Mon, like it's time for you to be happy. Here's your dream guy. My mind said, get out of there. What are you doing? So everything that I've just shared with you is exactly what I had to do for myself. I'd wake up, there'd be like panic. I'd become aware, what is this thought? What is this fear? Where is it coming from? I would use hypnotherapy. I would use EFT. I would use journaling. I would talk. I would coach myself through this. And there were things that I shared with him. And because he's so beautiful and amazing, like he was able to hold space for me. But overall, I didn't actually want to overburden him with my past stuff because that's not fair. You know, him just being this consistent pillar was enough for me. And so I was able to like find myself in a new state and teach my nervous system that I'm safe now. And I'm not going to lie, I still have moments where I'm just like, oh my gosh, fear of the unknown, what's going to happen, how's it going to, all these things. And I use these tools every day. This journey does not stop, right? If we're not getting triggered or we're not having any like growing pains or any fear come up, it's because we're not moving. And I don't know about you guys, but I have big dreams and big goals for my life. So it's going to require me to continue to grow and do big things. And so this matters, right? It matters that we understand this stuff and that we don't assign negative meaning to this stuff. When fear comes up, when we get triggered, it's always showing us something about ourselves. It is never about the other person, ever. Now, I'm not saying you tolerate disrespect or anything, but the fact is that if you didn't agree with them, it would not trigger you. So if someone does something, if someone outright says something that's mean, you can be like, don't talk to me like that. But the reason it hurts you is because you believe it, and they're reflecting back to you a belief that you hold, right? But so often what's going on is that we're actually projecting our fears onto other people, and it makes zero logical sense at all. So many times I caught myself doing this where I would just like create this panic inside myself about something that was ridiculous. But because my body was like looking for things to go wrong, right? Looking for the negative, because it was expecting that I was going to get hurt again, because why wouldn't I? It had happened every other time. I could literally create drama where there was no drama, and then I'd like be able to calm myself and just say that was an insane overreaction. Like, that doesn't make sense at all. But to then have compassion, right? So much love and compassion for myself and all the previous versions of me that went through so much pain that my mind is trying really hard to protect me from ever feeling like that again, right? So to be really proud of the journey that I'm on, to be really loving and compassionate towards myself, while also holding myself to a higher standard. And that's the balance and the dance that we want to get into, where we're growing and we're reaching for more because we're so worthy and deserving of it, but also where we can honor and acknowledge the part of us that felt really hurt, the part of us that doesn't feel safe, right? And again, in a practical sense, that has looked like me making a few apologies for things where I didn't get it right all the time, where I did have a reaction, I did try and control things, or I did, act in a way that's not in alignment with who I choose to be. But I owned it, and that's the key. And I forgive myself. I'm not going to punish myself forever, because I know that I'm always doing the best that I can. And I'm choosing to be as self-aware and as conscious as possible, right? So to sum this up, you guys, at the opposite end of love is fear, right? And the opposite end of the spectrum, fear, is love. So what we want to do is choose love. Right, we've talked a lot about the fear and the past and these things that comes up. But what about love? Because we move in the direction that we focus on, right? So if we're focused forward, we're focused on the dreams that we want to create, the things that we're bringing into our life, the money that we want to earn, the business we want to build, the relationship that we want to have, the health goals that we have, the book we want to write, or the impact we want to make, or the holiday we want to go on. It doesn't matter what it is. The key is that we're focused forward, right? Because your conscious mind sets the goals. The conscious mind is the goal setter. The unconscious mind is the goal getter. So your subconscious mind will go where you focus. So if you continue to focus forward, guess what? Your subconscious mind will start moving in that direction. And you'll know that because you'll probably have some old fears and triggers and things come up to be cleared out, which is an amazing sign. It means you're moving into the thing that you've asked for, right? And now you know all this, you're not going to panic when that happens, and you know how to start regulating those fears and things that you can do, okay? So the question that I have for you all is to think about choosing love and choosing to be love, right? Because so often, when we've had a lot of disappointment, a lot of letdowns, trauma, we've learned how to protect ourselves. We've learned that we live in a world that is unsafe. It's very easy to approach everything in our life with that perspective, yeah? And that's what I found myself doing in my relationship. I was in defense mode. I wasn't being loving and kind and supportive. I wasn't being who I really am, because I was guarded. I was scared. I was trying to protect myself. I didn't feel safe. So what happens, is that we attract what we're being, right? So the state that I was being was fear. What did I attract back? It wasn't the relationship that I wanted. And so I started to consciously choose to be love. And I was like, how does the real version of me act in a relationship? And I chose to express, and I chose to speak from the heart. And you know what happened? Beautiful things came back. Did that scare the crap out of me to do it? Yes. Do I continue to do it? Yes. Why? Because I deserve an amazing, loving relationship, as does my partner. He deserves the best version of me, the most loving, open version of me. And that has not been easy, right? But I want you guys to think about this. Like, in your life, how much is fear controlling you? The job that you have right now, the work that you do you do it because you love it? Do you do it because you have one life and you want to be so excited to create an impact and live your dreams? Or do you do it because you need to get paid, because you want to pay your bills? Be honest. Same with your relationship. Is this the dream person for you? Is this the person that makes you so happy? Or are you too afraid to leave? What about your friendships, your money, the home that you live in, your health, all these things, right? Start thinking about that. Is this really what you want? Is this really what you desire? Or are you just too afraid because it feels overwhelming, right? Food for thought. And reminder, you deserve the best. Your desires desire you. What you seek is seeking you. So be bold, be brave, go after it. And you're absolutely able to navigate the fear as it comes up. See you next week, friends. And that is a wrap. Thank you for showing up for yourself, for being here, and please let me know your aha moments. I want to hear all about them. For extra support, make sure you're following me on TikTok and Instagram at @TheMonicaFerguson. Check out the School of Greatness for self-study courses, and of course, if you want one-on-one mentoring, just DM me and I would love to have a chat with you. Go and slay the day. Thank you for being you. See you soon.